right. Welcome to today's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. Today we have horror host Eulogy Mortem. Eulogy, introduce yourself.
Hi, yes, I'm Eulogy Mortem of Eulogy Mortem's Mad Monster Cinema and Eulogy Scream Room over on Scener. Been doing this for about 15 years now.
Now,
have a lot of fun with it.
Who got you into being a horror host?
I'll tell you, quite honestly, I was an actor on Broadway. I did Broadway shows with people like Joyce DeWitt and Vicki Lawrence and Carol Burnett. And what happened was I was in a car accident coming across the Brooklyn Bridge, and it broke all of my front teeth out and it broke my jaw. And I nearly died. And what happened was that facial disfigurement kind of put me out of being wanted to be put into starring roles, and it put me in the back. Well, I was at a convention with a friend of mine, and we talked to, we were standing there talking to Cassandra Peterson, and Cassandra Peterson and I got to talking. She said, have you ever thought about hosting horror movies? You have a lot of knowledge about it. And I said, no, I guess I could try it. She said, you really should. Well, I did. But as a man doing it, there was a million of them, and it really wasn't, I wasn't fitting in. So I thought, you know what, let me try a character. So Eulogy was made. And from that point forward, she's just been rolling.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It's a horror story that ends up being really cool.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
So you worked with Joyce DeWitt from Three's Company? Janet or no?
Yes.
Janet. Yeah.
Janet. Janet.
Yeah, Janet. Yeah. I don't know. That's crazy.
I was in a show called Dearly Departed, where I played with her. I played her brother-in-law in that show, and then I was in a show called The Foreigner, where I played with. And please forgive me, I can't even remember his name. He played Bull on Night Court.
Richard Bull.
Yes, I actually headlined over him in a show. He played my co-star. Yeah, he played my co-star. And then I was in Moon Over Buffalo with Carol Burnett, and I co-starred with her.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's a person I would love to meet, is Carol Burnett.
Oh, she's wonderful.
It's like I grew up on the Carol Burnett show.
I take a lot of my humor. Yeah, I take a lot of my my comedy, my humor and stuff. She's a big influence, her and Lucille Ball.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Dog's trying to visit me over here. Really? Sorry. You were just outside. Now, I always ask this one. Who is your favorite, like, your horror icon?
Who is my horror icon? You know, that is a hard question for me to answer because there are so many. But I would have to say, and believe it or not, it's not an actor in a film or a character. My favorite is William Castle. I absolutely adore William Castle. I believe the man was a genius, the P.T. Barnum of horror.
Oh, yes, and definitely.
He is like, he was my icon. Yes.
Yeah. I got to, when I was a kid, I got to go see a revival of the Tingler when they would still kind of put the little motors on the seat so it'd vibrate the seat when at certain places. Of course, I wasn't one of the kids lucky enough to get that, but yeah, I got to see it in the theater back when I was, I don't know, probably 12 maybe. So
I've got something exciting to tell you about that. My father did spook shows in the 50s. He did the late night spook shows and traveled with movies like The Tingler and House on Haunted Hill. And I myself have actually done this a couple of times. I have the Emerjo setup. I have a reel-to-reel of House on Haunted Hill where I will go to a theater and do a live horror hosting of it, complete with Emerjo. Wow. So, yeah, I love that. Absolutely love it.
That's great. Now, what cities are you in? that you're on?
I'm in Newport, Tennessee, about 25, 30 miles outside of Pigeon Forge, closer to the Virginia line.
Okay.
I'm on that end.
Okay. And I know a lot of people, you said which one you're, people are like on the Monster Channel, really? And okay, this is the one I always get everybody on this one. Money's no object. What movie are you showing on your show?
If money was no object, what movie would I show on my show? That's a hard one. There's so many of them. I think what it would have to be, it would have to be the Friday the 13th. The original Friday the 13th. That has, that's always been one of my favorites. That one and John Carpenter's Halloween. So it would have to be Friday the 13th. It would have to be.
Now, do you ever work with other horror hosts?
I have worked with other horror hosts. I mean, I'm currently shooting a movie that is using several horror hosts in bit parts in the film. But yes, I have worked with other horror hosts before at conventions where we've both been in the same booth and that sort of thing. But to actually do a show with another horror host, no, I haven't had a chance to do that yet. It's not something I wouldn't do. It's just something that I haven't had a chance to do yet.
Now, you said you said you're on the convention circuit. You out there?
Yes, I am. I go to a lot of horror conventions. I entertain and I help to lead the question and answer sessions whenever they show films, that sort of thing. As a matter of fact, FrankenCon is coming up in Knoxville on May 14th. And my friend Matthew Tyler and we are going to be heading up the Q&A with the cast from the movie Nightmare on Elm Street 2. So that's the sort of thing I do when I go.
Nice. That's fun. Okay, this is the other one. This is the one that always gets everybody. Time and space don't matter. Money doesn't matter. Who would you have on your show?
Who would I have on my show? Time and space doesn't matter, but Elvira. Elvira. That's not hard for me at all. Cassandra is a really good friend of mine. But she's a friend outside of this. She is a friend outside of the entertainment industry. I could never afford to pay her to do something with me. And, I'm not saying she wouldn't do it for free, but I'm just saying if I had the money and time and space and everything to do it, it would be I'd want to do a movie with her. Yeah, I want to do a movie with her.
I like the one that's somebody says Dolly Parton and Elvira need to make a movie together where they play estranged sisters who have to come together.
Oh my God, that would be somebody needs to do that.
Oh, I know.
Somebody needs to do it right away.
they play. They said to play estranged sisters who have to bring good or fight the forces of evil, something like that.
That would be hysterical. Oh my God! And it needs to be directed by John Waters.
Oh yeah. Oh that would be something completely else. I just love I love the story. Did you ever hear the story about John Waters like hitchhiking through Ohio and just got picked up by like a random like band? I'm like, I live in Ohio. Why couldn't I pick up John Waters hitchhiking down the road?
Yes. I was actually good friends with Glenn Milstead, Divine.
Yeah.
And yes, I got a chance to actually have dinner with him, and he and I got to where we corresponded back and forth in letters and things like that. And I got to meet John briefly through Divine, but I never really got a chance to sit down with John. But later, I wound up being an extra in one of his films. It was called A Dirty Shame.
Yeah.
And I was one of the proud people that was in A Dirty Shame in the end of that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So yeah, I got some John Waters background.
There you go. Yeah, hey, that's some pedigree right there. Getting the John Waters pedigree.
Yeah,
being in the movie too. Now you said that when you put your shows together, you are the host. You don't do the editing and stuff. Now, do you do the writing, or do you do none of it, or do you just show up from set and you're just, here I am?
Yeah. I'll tell you, when I first started it, yes, I was doing everything. I was doing the editing, I was doing the scripting, and I was hosting it and everything with a simple camera on a tripod. But at that time, I was working for the Hollywood Wax Museum, and I got to know some people through the Hollywood Wax Museum who were actually in the industry, and they really helped me out a lot and came on board. So now my show is professionally edited. I have my scripts written for me. I have all of that, and it's all done in a studio. So I don't really have that much hand in what I do, other than improv what they give me. They give me a script, and then I just kind of run off the rails with it.
Yeah, because you got to make it your own.
Yeah.
Okay, how did you get with the Hollywood Wax Museum? The one in Pigeon Forge, or is that?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never been there. My mom and my sons have been there. I have not been there. So they go to Tennessee.
Well, what happened with that was they were hiring for an actor. They have a haunted house at the one in Pigeon Forge. It's called Outbreak Dread the Undead. They're zombies. Okay. And of course, I'm a makeup artist. So I went and I applied, and they said, well, we'll give you a try. Have you ever worked in a haunted house before? I went, why, no, I've never worked in a haunted house. Yeah, whatever. But anyway, so I went and I auditioned. They loved it. And so I became their lead zombie in their haunted attraction. One of the first zombies to ever do it in drag. And it scared the hell out of men. I mean, it really did, because I mean, here comes this woman, running up the hallway, and that's how I got involved with the people who own it, and that's how I got involved with the people who do my show.
So what came first? You said you're a makeup artist. Which came first, makeup artist or actor?
Actor was first.
Okay.
Yeah. Makeup artist came later when I was doing, I did plays where I kind of was pigeonholed into doing plays where I was in drag. And so I had to learn how to do the makeup in order to portray those characters. I've never been a drag queen on stage where I perform and take tips and things like that. Mm-hmm. I don't do that. I mean, I admire them. I really do. I admire them for that. But I'm more of an actor than I am that. So, yeah.
Oh, I get it. I have friends that I don't get to see that often, because they've moved away and I've moved away and stuff, but they did drag shows, and I used to give them so much crap. I'm like, why are you such a pretty girl?
I still have tons of fans on my Facebook page that still think that I'm a real woman. And they somebody sent me, this is a funny story. I just recently did a ghost hunt as myself. Okay. And I went out and investigated a cemetery, and somebody sent me a message and said, why didn't you do it? Who was the old man in the cemetery? And so I just simply sent a message back. I said, that was my father.
No, you should have said either that, or you should have said, that was me in drag. I couldn't be out in public.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm a really good makeup artist. I can really look like an old man.
But you got, I always tell all horror hosts this, is I grew up, we had our local horror host. It was Dr. Creep here in Ohio. Mm-hmm. Well, at least in the Dayton area when I was, and then as I was getting older, I thought, oh, horror hosts have kind of gone away because we didn't see them locally. And I became friends with a guy who ran a public access television channel, and he's like, oh yeah, he goes, no, horror hosts are still around. And then he hooked me up with more of the horror hosts in Ohio. Then I started going to conventions and finding more horror hosts outside of Ohio. And now that, Facebook's, bigger than that, and I've been doing this, I'm like, oh man, there's this horror host everywhere. The Midwest is full of them. And now it's like,
right.
Oh yeah. And it's so much fun is that for the most part, I guess you would say they're family friendly, because I show them at the shop. I have a comic book shop, so I show them at the shop, and people will be sitting watching them, and they're like, "Wow!" They're like, "Is this old?" I'm like, "No, this is like from like a month ago," and I have to look it up on Roku. I'm like, "Yeah, they just did this episode," and they're like, "There's still horror hosts?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's a bunch of them, and they're fun. I love it."
And, I get that a lot too. I get people that ask that. I do. I get that a lot. I mean, people go, "You mean your horror host? Do people still do that?" Yes, it's a huge community.
Oh yeah. One of my friends, he told me, he goes, because I joked around. I was like, "Man, I thought about being a horror host at one time," and he goes, "You should do it." And I was like, "Well, I can't do it as well as some of these other people do. They do it great." And I'm like, "I don't want to be." So I found my own little niche, and I host cartoons on Saturday mornings. That's my little thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, when you discovered your character, did you already have your eulogy fully, like from day one, eulogy was fully focused, fully, conceptualized, or was there a proto eulogy that became what you are today?
Well, I'll tell you what. A lot of people, my main question that a lot of people have asked me in interviews and things are, do you fashion your look after Elvira? Is that the person that you're aiming to be? And no, from the very beginning, I have fashioned my character after Fenella Fielding in William Castle's version of The Old Dark House.
Okay.
That is where I got the idea from. It's like a eclectic mixture between Lily Munster and Fenella Fielding. Okay. And I created the character. I did some stand-up with it. I did a play called Devil Boys from Outer Space, where they needed a horror hostess in that. And I kind of created Eulogy to do that play. And she just kind of stuck. It's kind of stuck.
Well, it works. I'm glad you stuck with it. And it's funny because I've asked other people this, and almost everybody was really close to what they ended up with. And I'm like, so I have to ask, because I'm waiting for the one person like, nah, my first one was like a mad scientist or something like that. But
well, I do so many different characters. If you follow my show, Eulogy isn't the only one who hosts the shows. Yeah. I do so. Almost my entire family is me. I only have two other people that are in the show with me. Jessica Mortem, who is my sister, is played by a friend of mine from Abington, Virginia. And then a friend of mine from Hollywood Wax Museum plays Grimsley. But everyone else is me. I play the projectionist. I play the mad scientist. They're all me. So...
Well, see, that's why you've got your hands full. Now, how long does it usually take for you to do a full episode?
To do one full episode? Usually about a half an hour. See, what we do is we go into the studio on a Monday for 14 hours.
Okay.
And then we shoot the entire month of whatever month that is, the next month. Like we'll go in the first Monday of April and shoot all of the episodes for May. So it's about anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes for each episode that we do.
Okay.
I know it doesn't look like that when you're watching the show, but it does. There's several takes in order to get what you see.
Yeah. It's I mean, when I do my show, it's about 20 full minutes of me, and I get my stuff pretty much down pat when I get ready, and very rarely is there a second or third take, because I'm like, all right, just be me and we'll go with it.
Right. We're sent our scripts the morning of.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to be good to get that down, because I could not remember something like, hey, we need to memorize this by this afternoon. Nope, that's never gonna happen.
Yeah, we get them that morning, and it's like 10 minutes later we shoot our first episode. So yeah.
Wow. Now, do you have a go-to crew that you have every week, that you've got the same group of people that you're working with on a pretty much a permanent on a regular basis? And that
yes.
It's so funny, because I mean, like, you have a very, you've got a script writer, you've got editor, stuff like that, and then I've talked to other people and they're like, oh, it's just me. It's just me.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
I've been there.
Oh, and it's so funny, especially watching the later, like you said, you've been around, and you've been, you started out where it was just you doing everything, and now you've got an actual full crew, and that's amazing. I'm giving you credit on that one. That's awesome that you've been able to get that big and be able to do that much. So that's
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Now, like you said, do you ever have issues? Because you said that there are people out there that think that that eulogy, and I won't give, I don't know your real name, I guess. Would do you ever have issues like where people like come up to you and they're like, well, I'm trying to find Eulogy, where's she at? You're like, oh, let me go get her.
Yes, I do. I have that. And recently, since I began doing the shows on Scener, I've become more people are watching me now. More people are seeing me. And on TikTok, of course, I have 15,000 fans over there on TikTok. And so I'm very widely seen. Well, the other day, about a week ago, I was at Walmart and I heard these two people standing behind me. It was a man and a woman. And the man said, that's that woman on YouTube. And she said, it can't be. He said, no, that's that woman that does them horror movies on YouTube. And he tapped me on the shoulder. He said, excuse me, but are you that scary lady on YouTube? And I turned around, I said, yes, that would be me. And thank you for recognizing me out of makeup. I mean, that's a feat. That is a feat within itself.
Well, you have, I don't want to take this wrong or anything. You have a very distinct voice. And
I know.
Yeah, that would be really hard, because if I'm sitting there like Walmart or something like that, I hear that voice and be like, is that
exactly?
Yeah.
I guess she just didn't pick up on it. I mean, or maybe he watches me in secret. I mean, who knows? But
here's crush. Here's
it could happen.
Oh yeah. I've got since I started doing this and doing my other shows, I've got a couple people that have crushes on me, and it's weird. I'm like, I don't what, me? What?
I do too, and they're always wanting to send me things like bras and panties and things. And I'm like, just send me money. I'm like, yeah, I don't. Just, yeah.
Was money and jewelry is always a good thing.
Yes, it is.
That's what my wife always tells me. If you can't go wrong with money or jewelry. But to be honest, chocolates and wine work too. So.
Yes, they do. Yes. They do.
Oh, you were saying that you went from being on the stage, being in plays, to being a horror host. That is a very drastic turn. How did you go from being like, or was it just easy? Was it something that was just kind of really just kind of like, okay, good?
It was mandatory. once you are a professional stage actor and you've done those sort of things, and you begin to lose your looks, and you're not as important anymore, and they don't really need you that much anymore, then out of necessity, you find the next best thing. And with being a horror hostess, I have found that that is the next best thing. I can be on stage every single day. I can act in front of people. And that's what I love to do, is entertain people. And by being a horror hostess, I can do that. I can continuously live what I've done for years every day. And that's, I guess the pandemic had a lot to do with it too, because when the pandemic came is when I really took off, because people didn't have anything else better to do to sit at home and watch me. So that's when it really took off. And I love my fans, and my fans love me. And that's the most important thing.
That's awesome. It's now you were sitting there talking about doing live, with the interviews and the Q&As. Have you ever done a live show, like a live the like at a con or something like that?
Oh yes. Recently, Hack from Hack's Horror Show in Knoxville, he and I they did a screening of a movie, WJ, I can't remember what the name of the film. I'm sorry. Please, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. Okay. But anyway, we sat in the front row and hosted it live. Oh. So we made cracks and things like that back and forth. And I have done that before. I was invited to a film festival one time where I actually sat in a chair up by the screen, and I hosted Pink Flamingos by John Waters. And that was, so yeah, I have done that. I've done that before.
That just seemed like that would be a natural progression to go back up onto the stage. And I just,
yeah.
Now
I love it.
I know we talked about movies that if money was no object. Do you have a go-to movie that's like, your movie that's like your comfort movie?
House of Wax.
Oh, Vincent Price and
Vincent Price and House of Wax is my go-to comfort horror film that I can watch over and over and over again.
I completely understand that one. I've watched that one probably 100 times at least. So the early Charles Bronson and I'm drawing a blank. Morticia Addams, early Morticia Addams.
Carolyn Jones.
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't think of her name.
Carolyn Jones.
Yeah.
Well, you're like me in that movie. I was like, oh God. I was like
yeah, it's with Horror Host and like I said, with the resurgence, and with now like all these other channels, like picking up this, you got like MeTV picked up Svengoolie, you got Monster Channel, you got what's the one, Scener, and
yes.
it's amazing now. And then everybody has their own YouTube channel to be able to push it.
Right.
It's so much fun. I've literally gotten to the point though where I go to watch an episode at the shop, and I spend more time going, oh, okay, maybe I'll watch this one. No, watch this one. Watch it. And it's like an hour later, and I'm still like, well, is this the one I want to watch, or is this the one?
Right.
It's fun.
It's funny that you mentioned Scener. Scener actually reached out to me. I didn't find Scener. The Scener people out of they contacted me, and they said, we are looking for a horror host for Scener. And I'm like, you've got tons on there. There's a million of them on there. And they're like, no, we want one that we can actually advertise as being the Scener horror host. So that's how that came about. And we're still kind of in test runs with that. But we do it every Friday and Saturday night at 11:30. And so far, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. We just need to get some more followers.
Yeah. That's always the hard one to do, is to get the followers. Yeah. I know how that is. I did this this show I'm doing right now spun out of public access TV. I don't know if did you ever do the public access route with or were you just pretty much got lucky?
They won't have me. I've sent to several public access stations and they're like, oh, we'd love to see it. And then once they actually watch the show, they're like, are you kidding me? At first we thought this was going to be like a family oriented show, and then all of a sudden it turned into this madhouse, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I do. And they're like, no. So yeah. Public access, no.
See, I got lucky. Literally the public access TV station was like 2 blocks away from my house, and I ended up becoming friends with the guy who ran the station, and he was a super cool guy who loved horror movies, loved weird sci-fi, you name it, and he's pretty big around the Dayton area, and he's like, nah, just do whatever you want to do. He goes, yeah, we're fine. He said, we'll just show you after 11 o'clock at night. And I made the mistake of one night. I put my real email address at the bottom of the screen instead of like just the show's email address. And I wake up the next day and it's like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there's 300 emails. And I'm like, oh, that's got to be a fluke. And I like clicked off of it and I went back to sleep, and I get up later on that day and I check my email and it's like, you have 500 emails. I'm like, that's not right. What is going on?
Yup.
And now I do you interact with your you ever get on YouTube and do like a live one where you're interacting with your fans as the show airs?
All the time. I do that on TikTok to advertise my shows. I get on TikTok most of the time on Sunday nights, and I do live on TikTok where I talk to my fans directly. I do question and answer. I answer any questions that they have. And of course, Scener is live. I host it live. Oh, wow. So as we're showing the movie, I'm actually hosting it live.
Wow. Now, I think it's great when because like I said, I grew up in an era where I don't know how long ago the episode was recorded before I got to see it on Saturday afternoon, and now it is almost instantly, because you're watching the episode and you can totally interact and talk to the host, and it's I find it amazing. I mean, I know this is technically old technology now that you can interact with people, but it's so much fun that I didn't have that, and I would have loved to have been able to talk to my local horror host when I was a kid, or even as an adult. I would have loved to have had it. And
me too.
It's fun. Now, did you have a local horror host where you were at?
Oh, we had several. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, and so we started out with Sir Cecil Creep. And then we moved from Sir Cecil Creep into the Phantom of the Opry. And then we moved from that into Dr. Gangrene. And of course, Dr. Gangrene is still going on public access in Nashville and on YouTube. And he's still moving along. So they still have him.
I used to, this gives away my age on this one. I used to tape trade. And I would try to find horror hosts when I could on VHS tape and trade it with somebody else over here and over here. And I had one episode of Phantom of the Opry because I thought that was the greatest host name at that time.
It was.
I was like, oh my gosh.
And I love him.
That's brilliant. But so those were your ones. Now, oh shoot, hold on a second. Now, do they have any bearing? Because you talk about Elvira. Did you ever take just a little bit of what they did to put into your character and to your show?
My hair.
Your hair.
My hair. That's pretty much it. The hair. Now, the humor is all me. And, you know, I absolutely love my writers. I do. And my writers, of course, I believe my writers borrow a lot from John Waters style characters. I really do. I really feel like they borrow a lot from that. And that's what makes Eulogy different. That's what has made her what she is because when she watches a movie, she doesn't go, "Oh, we're showing you a wonderful movie tonight." No, she says, "All right, let's see how much shit we can dig up this evening." So she Eulogy tells you like it is.
Well, I want to say that's the Southern character too, because they love to tell you exactly how it is, and they don't pull punches. So, and it's the you get the what are we gonna call it, the backhanded compliments. We're like, you're like, "Oh, honey, now." So,
and we do that a lot in the show. You hear me do that a lot. As I
always knew I worked with a lady who was from Tennessee, and you knew somebody was going to get just razzed on because they're like, it was always bless their heart, then followed by a complete and total just put down, and you knew it was coming, but you couldn't say or do anything because she sounded so sweet and nice with the Southern accent.
We did that when we did Plan 9 from Outer Space. They gave me the script and I was reading it and I was like, I feel like Thelma Harper out of Mama's Family. But we did this whole segment in Plan 9 where I was like, "Ed, darling, honey, we know you were trying. We really do, but you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. I mean, it is what the shit that you put on that screen. You should be ashamed." So yeah, we did that. We did that sort of thing.
That's fun. That is fun. What are you doing? Sorry, my dog has decided that she wants to be pain in the butt tonight, and I don't know why. This is the other one I have a question that I've asked other horror hosts. Have you ever put together an entire episode only find out that you cannot air it due to the movie?
Back when we first started, yes. We did have that because we didn't really know how to go about showing anything that wasn't public domain. We thought that we were pigeonholed into showing something that was 100% public domain. And then we got to talking to, I can't actually say his name here on camera. He works for a studio in California, but he told us how to go about that. So now, and that's another thing that makes my show different. You'll see shows that we do that are not public domain. And what we do is we contact the rights holder and we ask them if we can do it. And they charge us to do a one-time showing. So what we do is we pay them the fee, we show the movie that night, and then we take the movie down. So that's why we call it a special event. We let people know you're not going to see this anytime except one time. That's going to be it. So that we're pretty open to being able to show just about anything. Well, of course, on Scener now, we can show anything. We got HBO Max backing us. So it's pretty much a plethora. Yeah, it's a plethora of movies that we can show.
Yeah,
and we don't have to worry about
that. I've talked to other hosts and they're like, this. They said this movie was in public domain. We did the entire episode, showed it, and it got flagged. And I was like, oh, that's got to be horrible to put that much time and effort into something.
It is, and I'll tell you how it happens most. How it happens most isn't the fact that what you're showing isn't public domain. What it is there's something in the soundtrack that someone has copywritten for a song that they've done or for a commercial jingle or something, and that's the company that'll block you,
Oh,
not
yeah.
the movie company. Most movie companies don't give a shit if you show it. They want people to see it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
They do.
That's I with my show, I just go online, I just go through the old cartoons, and I've only gotten 2 where they just like, you need to take this down. I edit it out and I re-edit it, I repost it. But most of that stuff's old, and they don't care about it anymore. They're like, oh, you can't make no money off of it. And I'm like, I ain't making no money off of it anyway, so I don't care.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. The one time I got popped with a copyright thing, they made me make it take it down, was I had a commercial. I kind of used to put commercials in this show, and I kind of got away from that, and I just put them in my other show. I think it was a Play-Doh commercial. The jingle in a Play-Doh commercial is what got me. I'm like, really? The Play-Doh barbershop is what got me.
It will. It comes out of left field. Mm-hmm. And one of the movies that we did that happened with, and it was, oh God, it made me so mad. We advertised it and everything. We were going to be showing Macabre by William Castle.
Yeah.
And we went through the whole process, found out it was public domain and this, that, and the other. And then the night that we showed it, or started to show it, YouTube said, this is flagged, you can't show it. It was for 30 seconds of music that was used in a commercial somewhere, I don't know where, for something, and they blocked the entire thing for that.
Now so, see, yeah, what I like about it now is that I don't know if it's with yours, but it offered it with mine that I could go through and silence the music. I can't do it like it takes like almost like it takes almost as much time to just silence 30 seconds of music as it takes me to upload an entire episode, but it can take the music out, and then I don't have any problem with it. So I'm like, okay.
Right. And it does that for us too. And what we do is when they silence the music, we go and do our own voiceover over it, and of whatever scene it is. And that's what makes it the Mad Monster Cinema. You never know when you watch one of our shows what's going to happen. You have no idea. You might be hearing the real movie, and you might be hearing something else. You don't know. I mean,
it's a fun genre. I guess it's a genre of its own, the horror host, and the fact that you can play with movies and you can, kind of, it's somebody else's sandbox, but you bring your own bucket and pail to play with it and build your own sandcastles in it. So
that's right.
Yep. And you're right. I got on a kick, about 10 years ago, and I just did a huge, I studied William Castle, like the man, and then the movies and stuff, because I do that. I get on a thing and it will drive me nuts until I find out as much as I possibly can about it. And I was like, you saying he's the P.T. Barnum of horror, of movies. I'm like, I don't think I could put that any better. That is exactly what he was. And he knew how to sell a movie.
He sure did.
And
my marketing people, the people that do all of my marketing for me, I tell them every day, I'm like, you need to go take a look at William Castle. If you're going to market my stuff, you need to market it like he did, okay? Because I want to keep it all in the same vein. And he was so campy. I mean, that man was so campy. He wore like a tent for underwear. So everything about him, I want to try to embody that in what we do.
Yeah. I love that they kind of made the movie about him, Matinee, or John Goodman, where he was basically William Castle. That was brilliant. And I had to explain to my 2 of my sons, because they're getting to see horror hosts now as pretty much almost as adults. They kind of got a little bit snippet of it when they were still kids. But my now 22-year-old son is just fascinated by that whole era of movies when they did all of the gimmicks. Of course, you had the skeleton that would shoot across, and the was it the glasses and the whole 9 yards. He goes, they couldn't do that nowadays. I was like, no, there's no way.
Yes, we can. Have you seen my show, The Screaming Skull?
I don't think I've seen Screaming Skull yet.
Okay. My crew actually took that and did a gimmick with it called Terrorama. Okay. And what they did was they took the film and they added 3D sound, like ASMR sound, in several segments. So you're told at the beginning of the movie you have to wear a headset, and the little thing comes on, the little skull comes on in the corner and says, put your headset on now. So whenever it has a scene with the skull, it's in this sense around sort of thing. So we've done that. We've also go over and take a look at Wizard of Mars. We put it back in Depth-O-Rama. We put it back in the way that it was. So it can be done, and we're doing it. We always advertise our movies with a gimmick.
Sweet. Yes. That is awesome. That is super cool. Well, you said that was it your dad that did the spook shows?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Those I did like I said, like William Castle, I did a whole looked into those, and I found out that my little hometown that I still live in today actually had that one night back in 1957 or something like that. And it was, I found the little ad in the paper, and it's like, come meet Frankenstein, the mummy, and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, that would have been so cool.
I grew up going to those. I've been to several of those. I have even I even slept in a trunk backstage while my father did one when I was just a baby. So I grew up around spook shows, and I absolutely love them. Those are the grandfather of the modern day haunted attraction. Yeah. Back then, they didn't have haunted attractions. The haunted houses were the spook shows that you went to.
Oh yeah, and the fact that I've seen one Bela Lugosi would go to them, Lon Chaney Jr. would go to them, and you're just like, that would be insane. And because you're looking at, like I said, when I was researching that, you're looking at these little small towns like in Kansas or something like that, and they have Bela Lugosi at their local one screen. Well, they only had one screen theaters back then, but I'm just like, that's crazy that these guys were doing that, and that's amazing. But before I get way off topic here, I'm going way over here. I always ask this one too. Do you have any advice for upcoming horror hosts, people who want to become horror hosts or anything like that?
Yes. If you're going to be a horror host, study your movies. At least have knowledge of horror before you attempt to do this. I've seen many new ones come on board that give you a plethora of false information. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't know. And they think that, that just by being a character, they can carry the whole thing. No, as a horror host or hostess, you need to know your shit. You need to know your movie. You need to know why the movie came about. You need to be able to pinpoint facts. That's what makes a good horror host. So know what you're doing before you get into it. That's the best advice I could give.
Now, do you have any advice on finding your character?
For finding your character, yes, I can say go to your favorite horror film, your go-to horror film, like you and I talked about earlier, the one that is your comfort horror film. Go to that, find out who your favorite character is in that film, and build it from that, because you'll already be comfortable with that character. You've seen it many times. So if you could build off of that style, there you go. Yep. You got it.
Yeah, it's the classic character. Of course, everybody wants to go with I guess they were talking other characters like think about it before you do it. If you don't want to wear prosthetics, go through the whole makeup process, go through that. But
I'm telling you, let me tell you, it takes me 6 hours to get into this, to become Eulogy. And if I'm doing it live, it takes downright close to 11 hours, because we do the whole Mrs. Doubtfire for a live performance. I do the latex prosthetics, we do it all. And I'm in the chair for a long, long time. So I guess that's one of the reasons why some people think I'm a real woman, because I don't try to be a drag queen. I don't pretend to be something that I'm not. So a lot of people believe, well, hell, it's got to be a real woman. I'm not trying to be anything different. So
yeah, Eulogy is just the person that you are, and the
exactly.
Yep. What you want, cat? Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. We got the whole thing. Do you have any upcoming conventions or anything like that you've got coming up?
FrankenCon, like I talked about earlier, FrankenCon on May 14th in Knoxville. It'll be at the Marriott. We will be there with the cast from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. They will be there. They will also be recreating the dinner scene from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the man who played Grandpa. And you will actually be able to take over the part of Sally Hardesty. You can sit down at the table and they will film the scene while you're there. So yeah, we've got some fun stuff planned there.
Yeah. You were talking about when the pandemic hit and everything else. Now, did you go into overdrive on the show? Did you just I got nothing else to do, and just go in full steam?
Kind of, sort of. That's kind of what happened. What it was is none of us had a job, and we were all sitting at home Zooming with one another. And my producer at that time, I have a new producer now, but my producer at that time, he said, well, why don't we all just do Eulogy from here? You can film a bunch of pieces at home and then send them to the editor, and he can edit them there. Then he can send them to me. And that's what we did. And it just took, like I said, that's when we really took off.
Wow.
Was because we're the only horror host program that I know of that turns out a show every single Monday. We have a new show every Monday. We always have. And you can always depend on our show being there on Monday night.
That's amazing.
It's a different show every Monday.
You're right. I've talked to other ones, and they're like, well, we've got some of them, the best they can do is every 2 weeks. You get one a month,
Right.
I'm like, wow. And you're knocking out one a week. That's crazy. I mean,
we do a new show every Monday night.
And you said you do them all at once. You go in, do all of April's, and then April's you do May's, and May's you do. That's.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it easier?
We have the entire month of, let's see, we're currently in March. We had the entire month of April already shot, and the entire month of May, because I have live performances coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be able to be in the studio as much. So we've already shot April and May. They're already in the can and ready to go. That way I can go out and do my live performances.
Cool. I like I said, that you guys and you and your crew are doing this is amazing. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Horror hosts are so much fun, and I don't watch a eulogy. I don't watch this one and this one. I try to keep it mixed up, because it's just I like it, and it's like, oh, okay, we'll just keep it going. And
I always take Wednesdays off. I'm always off on Wednesdays, because I try to go over to the Monster Channel and watch the entire evening. I try to support all the other horror hosts. I do. And that's why I have such a close camaraderie with them, because I support them. They support me. I watch their show. They watch mine. It's like a big family.
Oh, yeah.
And we all love one another. And I want to make sure that I show them as much support as they show me.
Well, you were saying that the whole family. I actually want to say it's probably better than a real family, because I know that no matter with Horror Host, it doesn't matter what outside your hosting is, whether you're, some people are way over here, some people are way over here, but when it comes to the Horror Host, all that dissipates and goes away. And that's where it's better than a real family.
It does.
Yes. And that's amazing that you guys can put all that aside. There's nobody brings any outside drama into it. It's all about the just having a good time and being a good host. So
that's right.
That's amazing.
That's right.
That is crazy. Like I said, it's fun. I appreciate everything you do. And the fact that you're putting out a show every week, a new show, that's amazing. I do several shows half-ass, and
I'm not saying some of ours aren't. Some of ours are.
I know. Well, like my interview show, there's times where I can knock out, like last Sunday, I did a couple of them. Those are all in the can. I'll get this one in the can. This one won't drop 2 Mondays from now at noon, and because I've already got some already done, and those are next Mondays, and I'm not gonna lie, I have all kinds of people on the show, because I had people ask me, like, oh, if you're going to do a YouTube show, you have to stick to one thing. And I'm like, that's boring. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that. I want to talk to people who fascinate me, that I find interesting, that I want to find out more about. Because, I'm a comic book guy. I own a comic book store. I know lots of comic book people, and I love a lot of these people to death, but some of them are just boring, and I don't want to talk to them.
I hear you. I do. I hear you.
Yeah. So interviewing you has been so much fun. I mean, I did not know about the doing the stage shows, the accident. That's just crazy. And the fact that that's just amazing right there, that you were able to come from that to be where you're at now. That's just, you hear about these accidents and stuff, and people can never like come back from it, even if they're, everything's fine. It's never fine, and that you're able to turn a negative into a really big positive, and that's amazing. So, as I say, amazing
determination. I took a deformity that happened and I turned it into quality. And I have a saying that I always say anyway: there's no such thing as handicap. There's only blessed individuals, because it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. Everybody has a heart. Everybody's the same on the inside. And it takes that determination to be who you are. And anybody that is out there can do anything they want to do if they just set their mind to it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I appreciate it. I want to say thank you. I want to say you're amazing. The fact that you've been able to do what you've done, that you can, do that you've put out a show every week, and that's, and that you keep horror hosting alive. And that is
thank you.
So good. I mean, it's funny because I'm a bit different with my parents and stuff like that. And my mom has legitimately called me on a Saturday night and been like, I'm watching, Svengoolie, or I'm watching this. I'm like, yes, thank you. We have something in common.
I wish my parents could have lived to see me actually do this. I mean, they were alive while I was doing Broadway. They were alive. They got to see that and everything. But my father and I always had that camaraderie of the horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was actually an extra in several B movies in the 50s. I mean, so she had the B movie horror background as being an actress in the films. And they always wanted me to go into something that was horror related, or something that had the classics related to it. They weren't able to live to see me do it, but I believe that they have a lot to do with my success. I do.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And like I said, the fact that you're helping keep horror hosting alive, that you're out there every week, that you're out there doing conventions, that you're doing live shows, that you're doing gimmick shows. That's just awesome. Like I said, I do appreciate everything. I guess before we go, do you have like your if you want to give your website, or if you want to put out your Twitter or your Facebook page or stuff like that, do you want to put out any of your information? Or I could also post that at the end too if you want that. So
that's easy to do. All they have to do is put the name Eulogy Mortem in Google, and it's going to come up a whole page. I have about 150, 200 links on there. They all go to me. My store is at Store Frontier. If they haven't followed me on Facebook, follow me. They'll see where my store, they can buy my t-shirts and things like that. But just Google the name Eulogy Mortem. You'll find me.
All right. I will put a couple of little things here at the end, like follow you at and all that fun stuff. And I'll send you a link when it's all ready to go and ready to get up and go, and all that fun stuff. And hopefully one of these days I will be down your way in that area, and I'll like message you on Facebook or something like, hey, hi, post a picture from somewhere.
Hopefully one of these days I'll be up in your area at a convention. So I'd love to do that.
Yeah, we got a bunch of them up here. We got the Days of the Dead and Horror Hound and a couple other ones. So, and there's a bunch. And Ohio is like just so big into horror. I never thought about it until I became an adult and I started looking at all this stuff. And there's horror conventions, horror hosts, everything, and it's out of Ohio, and it's crazy.
Yeah. That's right. Some of the best haunted attractions in the nation are in Ohio.
One of the biggest ones is the worst part about I've never gotten to the great big one. Before I go, I have to tell you this, because you were talking about running a haunted attraction. One Halloween, around Halloween time, I got hired to do a haunted corn maze. And I'm legitimately, I got my character down. It was just like I would just drag this big long chain around. I had a gas mask on, of all things, but you could hear me breathing like a mile away, because you hear that, and you talk about, guys, I scared more full-grown men than I did children, women, the elderly, you name it. I had guys knock their girlfriends down to get away from me. Although the scaredest I've ever seen one person in my entire life was a girl, and I had all these paths through the cornfield where you couldn't see me till I was either in front of you or behind you, and I got where these, so I kept like following these people, so I'd get behind them, and then they would turn around, and then I'd be gone, and I'd be in front of them, and I walked up behind them, and I was holding my breath so you couldn't hear me, and I got up there, and then I started breathing, and the two guys ran, and the girl stops, and she freezes like a deer in the headlights, and she starts shaking. And I felt so bad. I had to take my mask off, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's okay. I had to escort her out of the corn maze because she's like, you were there, and then you weren't there, and then you were there. I was like, I had paths. I had it all figured out. I'm sorry. But then she's like, and she's just sitting there. I'm like waiting with her at the exit, and the two guys, because it was two guys and another girl, and they took off running, and they left her just out, left her setting, and I'm just standing there like, really? That's what we're going to do today? I was like, and it was just so bad that most of the time it was the legitimately full grown, the big, like, I'm not afraid of nothing guys who were the ones who would freak out. I had a guy take off running. He runs right into the corn, and he jumps up and he's holding his pants. He goes, I pissed my pants, and he runs off. But and I had to say that one because you were talking about that. I remembered that, and it was like, oh my, you're right. It's totally 100%. The grown men are the ones afraid of all that stuff, and I'm like,
That's right.
But all right, well, I do not want to take up any more of your time. I appreciate everything. Like I said, again, I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate you coming on the show. I had fun. It was interesting learning more about you, and now I have an even bigger appreciation for you. I hope to talk to you down the road. My goal for down the road a ways is to maybe do a like round table episode where I get like 3 or 4 horror hosts and we talk about, becoming a horror host, all that fun stuff. So I don't know if you'd be interested, but I'll put the feelers out there already. And I want to say
that would be awesome.
Thank you. Like I said, thank you. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work, and I hope to talk to you again soon. And
thank you, and thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, thank you for being on. But have a good night, and I will talk to you later because I'm going to go get my dog from outside. And sorry again for that.
Awesome. No problem. You have a good night.
Good night. Love to thank Eulogy again for coming on tonight. That was a fun show. I like I said, I have a huge soft spot for horror host, and learning more about them is so super interesting. But as always, Group Therapy was brought to you by RU Game, the best comic book, collectible, magic, video game collectible shop located in 124 North Sunset Drive, Pickle, Ohio 45356. You can find us on RU Game, ARE letter U GAME on Facebook. You can also find Group Therapy on Facebook. You can also watch me every Friday and Saturday with Sci Fridays and Saturday morning serials. And I will see you guys later. Take care and see you there later.